Jake Morrison stood in the middle of the great hall, his hands behind his back. The room was huge, bigger than any building he had ever seen on Earth. The walls were made of some kind of crystal that glowed with soft blue light. Around him sat 47 different alien species, each one stranger than the last. Some looked like giant insects, others like walking trees, and a few were just floating balls of light. He had been Earth's ambassador for 3 years now. He had seen many things that amazed him, but today he felt only anger. The aliens were about to make a decision that would change everything for humanity. The leader of the Galaxy Council was called Vex Thara. She looked like a giant snake with arms and a face that could speak. Her skin changed colors when she was angry, and right now it was turning a deep red. "Human Jake Morrison," she said, her voice echoing through the hall. "You stand here to represent your entire species. Today, we will decide the fate of all humans in the galaxy." Jake nodded, but said nothing. He had learned that it was better to listen first before speaking in this place. The aliens liked to talk a lot before they got to the point. "For 10 years, humans have been part of our galactic community," continued Vex Thara. "We welcomed you when you first built ships that could travel between stars. We taught you our laws. We showed you how to trade with other species. We gave you planets to live on." Jake's jaw got tight. The aliens always talked like they had given humans everything for free. They never mentioned how hard humans had worked for everything they had. "But humans have caused many problems," said another voice. This one came from something that looked like a walking stick with eyes. "You have fought wars with 3 different species. You have taken planets that were not yours. You have refused to follow our rules." "The rules are stupid," Jake said, finally speaking up. "You want us to ask permission every time we want to build a city. You want us to share our new technology with everyone, even our enemies. You want us to give up our colonies just because some other species says they own them." The hall became very quiet. No one had ever talked to the Galaxy Council like this before. Most species were afraid of making the Council angry. "We have been patient with humans," said a third alien. This one looked like a giant bug with 6 arms. "But your species learns nothing. Last month, you attacked a Zephyrian ship. Before that, you built weapons that are too powerful. You expand to new worlds without asking us first." Jake laughed, but it was not a happy sound. "The Zephyrian ship was in our space, trying to steal our cargo. We built better weapons because everyone else has weapons pointed at us. We expand because our people need places to live and work." "You are too violent," said Vex Thara. "Too aggressive. You do not understand peace." "We understand peace fine," Jake replied. "But we also understand that peace means being strong enough to protect yourself. You want us to be weak so you can control us." The other human representatives stood behind Jake. Linda Hayes was a military officer with short gray hair and scars on her hands from old battles. Peter Clark was a scientist who had helped design humanity's first spaceships. Amy Foster was a trade representative who had tried for years to make fair deals with alien species. "The Galaxy Council has made its decision," announced Vex Thara. Her skin was now dark red, almost black. "Humans have violated the Galactic Peace Agreement 17 times. You have shown that you cannot live in peace with other species." Jake felt his heart start beating faster. This was it. This was the moment they had all been waiting for. "We give you one final chance," said the bug-like alien. "Give up all your colonies except Earth. Let us put Council observers on all your ships. Follow our rules exactly, or leave galactic space forever." The hall was so quiet that Jake could hear his own breathing. He looked at Linda, Peter, and Amy. They all nodded at him. They had talked about this moment many times. They knew what they had to do. No, Jake said simply. What did you say? Asked Vexthara. I said no. Humans will not give up our colonies. We will not let you put spies on our ships. We will not follow rules that are designed to keep us weak. Then you choose exile, said Vexthara. The Galaxy Council here, and now cuts all ties with humanity. You cannot trade with any council species. You cannot enter any council space. You cannot ask for help from any council member. And if we do? Asked Jake. Then we will destroy your ships and kill your people. Jake nodded slowly. Then we choose to stand alone. We choose to be free rather than be slaves. The alien representatives began talking loudly among themselves. Some seemed angry, others seemed scared. They had never had a species refuse their demands before. You are making a mistake, said the stick-like alien. Humans cannot survive alone. You need our technology, our trade routes, our protection. Without us, you will become weak and die out. Maybe, said Jake, but at least we will die as free people, not as pets. He turned to face the other humans. Come on, let's go home. As they walked out of the great hall, Jake could hear the aliens, still talking behind them. Some sounded worried, others sounded angry. A few sounded like they thought humans were crazy. Maybe they were right. Maybe humans were crazy to think they could survive alone in a galaxy full of aliens who wanted to control them. But Jake had learned something important in his 3 years as ambassador. The Galaxy Council was not as strong as they pretended to be. They needed humans more than they wanted to admit. The walk back to their ship was long and quiet. Finally, Linda Hayes spoke up. Well, that went exactly as we expected, she said. Are you ready for what comes next? Asked Peter Clark. Jake looked out at the stars through the station's windows. Somewhere out there was Earth, and millions of humans who were depending on them to make the right choice. Yes, he said. It's time to show the galaxy what humans can really do when we're not holding back. The ship that took them back to Earth was small and fast. As they traveled through space, Jake thought about the future. The Galaxy Council thought they had punished humanity by cutting them off from galactic society. But Jake had a feeling they had just made their biggest mistake ever. Humans had always been at their best when they were fighting against impossible odds. Now they had the biggest challenge in their history. They would either become stronger than ever, or they would disappear completely. Jake smiled as he looked out at the stars. He knew which one it would be. Ryan Blake stood at the big window of Luna Station and watched the workers building new ships. It had been 5 years since the Galaxy Council had kicked humanity out of galactic society. 5 years of hard work, fear, and determination. The moon's surface was covered with construction sites. Huge metal frames reached up toward the black sky like the skeletons of giant beasts. Thousands of people worked day and night, building the ships that would protect humanity from whatever came next. Kate Sullivan walked up behind him, carrying a tablet computer. She was the chief engineer for the whole project, and she looked tired. Her red hair was messy, and her clothes were dirty from crawling around inside ship engines all day. The new ships are almost ready, she said, looking at her tablet. We can have the first group of 12 ships ready to fight in 6 months. Ryan nodded. The new ships were called Defiant Class, and they were unlike anything humans had ever built before. Without alien technology to copy, human engineers had been forced to create everything from scratch. The results were impressive. What about the weapons? Ryan asked. Are they as good as we hoped? Kate smiled for the first time in weeks. Better, much better. We have plasma cannons that hit harder than anything the aliens use. And the new shields? She paused, looking excited. The aliens are going to get a big surprise when they try to shoot through our defenses. Ryan felt some of his worry fade away. When the Galaxy Council had cut humanity off from the rest of the galaxy, many people thought it was the end. Earth's colonies were spread across dozens of star systems. Without alien trade routes and technology, how could they survive? But humans had always been good at solving problems. Instead of giving up, they had worked harder than ever before. Every colony contributed something to the defense effort. Mars built the engines. Europa made the armor. Titan provided the fuel. Earth designed the weapons. A voice came through the communication system. "Commander Blake, we have a message from the outer colonies. Lieutenant Ben Torres is calling from the monitoring station." Ryan walked to the communication panel and pressed a button. Ben Torres appeared on the screen. He was young, maybe 25, with short black hair and serious brown eyes. "Commander, we have a problem," Ben said. "The Zephyrians are gathering ships near the Kepler system. Our scouts count 47 vessels." Ryan felt his stomach drop. The Zephyrians were one of the alien species that had voted to exile humanity. They looked like giant insects with hard shells and 6 arms. They were also known for being aggressive and warlike. "How close are they to our territory?" Ryan asked. "Right at the border, sir. They are not crossing into our space yet, but they are making it clear that they could if they wanted to." Kate looked worried. "The new ships will not be ready for another 3 months. We only have the old fleet right now." "Then we work with what we have," Ryan said. He turned back to the screen. "Ben, send a message to all colonies. Tell them to prepare for possible attack. And contact Admiral Stevens on Mars. Tell him it is time to activate the Aegis Protocol." Ben nodded, and the screen went dark. Ryan looked out the window again at the construction sites. Somewhere out there, alien ships were waiting to test humanity's strength. The question was whether humans were ready for that test. Kate put her hand on his shoulder. "Ryan, are you sure about this? The Aegis Protocol is risky. If it does not work, ... If it does not work, we are dead anyway," Ryan replied. "At least this way we have a chance." The Aegis Protocol was humanity's secret weapon. For 5 years, while the aliens thought humans were struggling to survive, Earth's best engineers had been working on something special. They had built weapons platforms that looked like asteroids. They had created ships that could hide in space, so well that even the best alien sensors could not find them. The Galaxy Council thought they knew everything about human technology. They were wrong. Ryan's communication device beeped. Admiral Stevens appeared on the small screen. He was an older man with gray hair and tired eyes, but his voice was strong. "Ryan, I got your message. The Aegis Protocol is ready. We have been waiting for this day for 2 years." "How many ships do we have?" Ryan asked. "More than the aliens think. Much more. We have been building in secret, using materials from asteroid mining operations. The Zephyrians think they are facing a small human fleet. They have no idea what is really waiting for them." Ryan felt a cold smile cross his face. "Good. Let them come. Let them think they have an easy victory." Over the next few days, reports came in from all over human space. The Zephyrians were moving closer to the borders. Other alien species were watching to see what would happen. Some were probably hoping to see humanity crushed once and for all. Ryan spent most of his time in the command center, watching the screens that showed ship movements across dozens of star systems. Kate worked without sleeping, making sure every weapon was ready. Ben Torres and his team watched the alien fleet get closer and closer. "They are testing us," Ryan said to Kate on the 3rd day. "They want to see if we will run or fight." "What do you think they will find?" Kate asked. Ryan looked at the construction sites outside the window. In just 5 years, humanity had transformed from a small member of galactic society into something new. They had been forced to become stronger, smarter, and more united than ever before. They are going to find out that exiling humanity was the worst mistake the Galaxy Council ever made. He said that the aliens had wanted to get rid of a troublesome species. Instead, they had created something they had never seen before. A human. Civilization that had no limits, no rules to follow except their own, and no one to answer to except themselves. The Zephyrians were about to learn that humanity had used their 5 years of exile very well. They had built a fortress among the stars, and they were ready to defend it against anyone who challenged them. Ryan looked at the stars and smiled. The Galaxy Council had thought exile would make humanity weak. They were about to discover just how wrong they had been. Admiral Claire Stevens stood on the bridge of the Hughes Valiant, watching the alien fleet move toward the human colony world. The Zephyrian ships looked like giant metal insects, their sharp edges gleaming in the light of the distant star. There were 47 of them, all moving in perfect formation. Like they had done this 1,000 times before. Claire was not afraid. She had been waiting for this moment for 3 years. The aliens thought they were about to destroy a weak human colony and teach humanity a lesson. They had no idea what was really waiting for them. "Enemy ships are getting closer," said Dan Miller, the tactical officer. He was a young man with steady hands and sharp eyes. "They will be able to shoot at us in 10 minutes. Claire nodded but did not take her eyes off the screen. "Open a communication channel with the alien fleet." The main screen flickered and changed. Now she could see the face of the alien commander. He looked like a giant insect with compound eyes and clicking mandibles. His name was Zektar, and he was known throughout the galaxy as a skilled warrior. "Human ship, you are ordered to leave this system immediately," Zektar said, his voice making clicking sounds. "This colony is now under Zephyrian control. You have violated the exile order by being here." Claire smiled coldly. "This is Admiral Stevens of the United Earth Space Force. You are in human space without permission. You have 30 seconds to turn around and leave, or we will shoot." Zektar's compound eyes seemed to sparkle with amusement. "Admiral, you have one small ship. We have 47 warships. Your courage is admirable, but you cannot win this fight." "I think you have made a mistake," Claire said. "You think we are alone." She pressed a button on her command chair. Suddenly, the space around the planet came alive with movement. What had looked like empty space and floating rocks suddenly revealed dozens of hidden human ships. The asteroid field around the planet was actually a trap filled with weapons and soldiers. "All units, this is Admiral Stevens," Claire announced over the communication system. "Execute battle plan Hammer Strike." The battle began in an explosion of light and fire. The Zephyrians, caught completely by surprise, tried to reform their neat formation. But human ships were attacking from all directions. Plasma cannons fired. Streams of superheated energy. Kinetic weapons shot metal slugs at incredible speed. The new human shields absorbed alien weapons fire like it was nothing. Rick Harper led a squadron of human fighter ships. He was an experienced pilot who had been flying combat missions for 8 years. His voice came through the communication. "System excited and confident. Falcon Squadron engaging the enemy cruisers. Their shields are going down fast. These new weapons are incredible." Claire watched the battle unfold on her tactical display. The Zephyrians were skilled fighters, but they were using old tactics against new technology. Their energy weapons, which had been the best in the galaxy for centuries, barely scratched the new human shields. "Target their command ship," Claire ordered. "Take out their leader." The Valiant moved forward, supported by 2 other human cruisers. The Zephyrian flagship was huge, twice the size of any human ship. But size did not matter when your weapons could not hurt your enemy. The human ships concentrated their fire on the alien flagship. The new plasma cannons burned through the alien shields in seconds. The kinetic weapons punched holes in the alien armor like it was made of paper. "Their flagship is losing power," reported Dan Miller. "They are trying to retreat." "Let them," Claire said, "but make sure they remember this lesson." The battle lasted only 2 hours. When it was over, 31 Zephyrian ships were destroyed or disabled. The remaining 16 ships fled toward the edge of the system, their formations. Broken and their confidence shattered, the human fleet had suffered almost no damage. 3 ships reported minor hull damage, but no one had been killed. It was a complete victory. Claire opened a communication channel to the fleeing aliens. Commander Zektar's image appeared on screen again, but now he looked different. His compound eyes were dim, and his mandibles clicked nervously. "Commander Zektar, I hope this battle has taught you something important," Claire said. "Humans are not the same species you exiled 5 years ago. We have grown stronger. We have become something new." "This is impossible," Zektar said. "Your technology was inferior. Your ships were smaller. How did you ... "We learned," Claire interrupted. "We adapted. We became what we needed to become. The Galaxy Council thought exile would destroy us. Instead, it freed us to become something better." She leaned forward in her command chair. "Tell the Galaxy Council what happened here today. Tell them that humanity is no longer asking for permission to exist. We are no longer afraid of their threats." The alien commander's image flickered and disappeared. The surviving Zephyrian ships jumped to hyperspace, carrying news of their defeat back to the Galaxy Council. In the hours after the battle, reports came in from across human space. The victory at Kepler 442b was being celebrated on every human world. People who had lived in fear for 5 years now felt hope for the first time. Claire stood in the observation deck of the Valiant, looking out at the planet below. The human colony was safe, but more than that, humanity had proven something important to itself and to the galaxy. "Admiral," said Rick Harper, joining her at the window, "the fighter pilots are asking when we can do this again." Claire smiled. "Soon, I think. This was just the beginning." The news of the battle spread across the galaxy within days. Species that had ignored humanity for 5 years suddenly paid attention. The Galaxy Council, which had dismissed humans as a minor annoyance, realized they had created something they had never seen before. Humanity had not just survived exile. They had used it to become a military power that could challenge anyone. In the galaxy, the age of human weakness was over. The age of human strength had begun. The aliens had wanted to teach humanity a lesson about their place in the galaxy. Instead, humanity had taught them a lesson about what happens when you try to cage a species that was born to be free. The Galaxy Council meeting room had never been this crowded before. Representatives from all 47 member species filled the crystal chamber, their voices creating a noise like angry bees. For the first time in over 1,000 years, Council faced a crisis that threatened everything they had built. Counselor Vexthara coiled around her speaking platform, her scales shifting between red and black. She was angry and scared, though she tried to hide it. The other council members were not doing as good a job hiding their fear. "The situation is worse than we thought," announced Intelligence Director Mordok, waving his 6 arms at the holographic displays floating around the room. "In the past 8 months, human forces have destroyed over 300 of our ships. They have captured 12 space stations. They have taken control of 6 star systems." The displays showed battle after battle. Every single one ended the same way: human victory, alien defeat. The technology gap that the Council had counted on no longer existed. If anything, humans now had better weapons and ships than most Council species. "How is this possible?" demanded the representative from the Andromedan Republic. His crystalline body flashed angry colors. We cut them off from all galactic resources 5 years ago. They should be struggling just to keep their old ships running. They are not using our technology anymore, Mordak explained. They have developed their own, and it is better than ours. A murmur of disbelief went through the chamber. For centuries, the Galaxy Council had believed that their technology was the best in the galaxy. The idea that a single species could surpass them in just 5 years seemed impossible. There is more bad news, continued Mordak. Several minor species have approached human representatives about defense treaties. The Altarian Republic has already signed a mutual assistance agreement with humanity. 3 other species are considering similar deals. This news caused an uproar. Council members began shouting at each other in dozens of different languages. The idea of species choosing human protection over council membership was unthinkable. Order! Order! Shouted Vexthara, her voice echoing through the chamber. We need solutions, not panic. The great doors of the chamber opened, and a human walked in. She wore the dark blue uniform of the United Earth Space Force, with silver stars on her collar that marked her as an admiral. Her name was Sandra Cross, and she walked into the room like she owned it. Behind her came 6 other humans, all wearing military uniforms. They were not diplomats or politicians. They were soldiers, and they looked like they had come to accept a surrender rather than negotiate a peace treaty. The Galaxy Council has requested this meeting, said Vexthara, trying to sound like she was still in control. We wish to discuss an end to the current hostilities. Sandra stopped in the center of the chamber and looked around at all the alien faces staring at her. Her expression was calm and confident, like someone who knew they held all the winning cards in a card game. The time for discussion ended 5 years ago, Sandra said. You had your chance to treat humanity as equals. You chose exile instead. We have learned to like exile. What do you want from us? Asked the representative from the Zephyrian Collective. His voice shook slightly as he spoke. Sandra smiled, but it was not a friendly smile. Complete withdrawal from all systems with human populations. Recognition of the coalition of free worlds as an independent galactic power. Full compensation for all the damage you caused when you attacked our territories. The council members looked at each other in shock. The humans were not asking to rejoin Galactic Society. They were demanding that the Galaxy Council submit to them. You cannot be serious, said the Andromedan representative. You are one species among 47. You cannot dictate terms to the entire galaxy. We are not dictating to the entire galaxy, Sandra replied calmly. We are offering you a choice. Accept the new reality, or be replaced by it. You are threatening us? Accused Vexthara. No, said Sandra. We are informing you. Commander Noah. Patterson's fleet is currently positioned near the Centauri Trade Hub. Captain Lisa. Rodriguez has surrounded the Vega commercial station. We have the firepower to enforce our demands, and the will to use it. The chamber fell silent. Everyone understood what Sandra was really saying. Humanity was not bluffing. They had the ships and weapons to back up their words. You cannot fight the entire galaxy, protested Mordak. We do not need to fight the entire galaxy, Sandra said. We only need to fight those who choose to oppose us. Many species are already choosing to work with us instead of against us. She gestured to one of the humans behind her, who activated a holographic display. It showed a map of the galaxy with different colored lights marking different territories. Blue lights marked human-controlled space. Green lights marked species allied with humanity. Red lights marked council-controlled space. The map told a clear story. In just 8 months, humanity had gone from an exiled species to the leader of a growing coalition. Nearly a third of the galaxy was now either under human control or allied with humanity. The Galaxy Council's 1,000-year rule is ending. Sandra continued. The question is whether it ends through negotiation or through conquest. We would prefer negotiation, but we are prepared for either option. And if we refuse your demands? Asked Vexthara. Sandra's smile became even colder. Then we continue what you started. We will take every system we need to protect our people and our allies. We will destroy every fleet that opposes us. We will replace every government that threatens us. She paused and looked around the chamber. The choice is yours. Work with us as equals, or be conquered as enemies. But understand this, the age of the Galaxy Council is over. The age of human leadership has begun. The silence that followed was complete. For the first time in their history, the Galaxy Council faced a power they could not control, threaten, or destroy. They had created this situation themselves when they chose exile over cooperation. Humanity had not simply survived that exile. They had used it to become something the galaxy had never seen before, a species that owed nothing to anyone and answered to no authority except their own. The reckoning had arrived, and it wore a human face. Jonathan Hayes stood in the command center of Terran Central Station, watching ships move through space like a busy highway. The massive space station floated where the old Galaxy Council headquarters used to be. It was bigger, more advanced, and filled with both humans and aliens working together. 1 year had passed since the Galaxy Council surrendered. The change had been faster and smoother than anyone expected. Most alien species had welcomed human leadership once they realized it meant real freedom instead of the Council's endless rules and regulations. Michelle Baker walked up to him, carrying a tablet filled with reports. She was in charge of helping former Council territories become part of the new coalition of free worlds. Her job was busy but satisfying. The integration process is going very well, she said, looking at her tablet. The Kepler sector has voted to become a full member of the coalition. The vegan systems want to be a protectorate under our protection. Jonathan nodded as he read through the reports. The transformation had surprised everyone, including the humans. They had expected years of fighting and resistance. Instead, most species had been eager to join the new system once they saw how it worked. What about the species that are still causing trouble? Jonathan asked. Very few problems left. General Scott Williams reports that the last Zephyrian holdout group surrendered yesterday. They are asking to be relocated to the Outer Rim territories, where they can live according to their own customs. Jonathan smiled. The humans had learned something important from their own exile. Sometimes the best solution was to let troublesome groups go their own way, as long as they did not bother anyone else. Captain Tracy Nelson entered the command center, her uniform showing the insignia of the Coalition fleet. The Coalition military was made up of ships and crews from dozens of different species, all working under human leadership. Admiral, we have visitors from outside our galaxy, Tracy said. A diplomatic convoy from the Andromeda Galaxy has just arrived. They want to meet with Coalition leadership. Jonathan raised his eyebrows. News of humanity's rise had apparently spread beyond their own galaxy. Other civilizations were taking notice of what humans had accomplished. What do they want? He asked. They claim to represent something called the Andromedan Empire. They want to discuss trade agreements and mutual defense treaties. Jonathan thought about this for a moment. Schedule a meeting for tomorrow, but make sure they understand our position. We are not interested in joining their empire or following their rules. If they want to deal with us, they deal with us as equals. Tracy nodded and left to make the arrangements. Jonathan returned to watching the busy space lanes outside the station. Human ships worked alongside alien vessels, carrying cargo and passengers between hundreds of worlds. It was the kind of cooperation the old Galaxy Council had claimed to want, but never achieved. Dr. Greg Thompson, the Coalition's chief science officer, joined him at the observation window. Greg was a quiet man who had spent most of his life studying alien technology. Now he was helping to design new technology that combined the best ideas from dozens of different species. The terraforming project in the Sirius system is showing excellent results, Greg reported. We should have 3 new Earth-like worlds ready for colonization within 10 years. And the exploration missions? Jonathan asked. Captain Frank Peterson's expedition has found 17 new star systems beyond the galactic rim. We are not just expanding within the galaxy anymore. We are expanding beyond it. Jonathan felt a sense of pride as he listened to the reports. 6 years ago, humanity had been just another member species in the Galaxy Council, following rules made by others and asking permission for everything they wanted to do. Now they were leading a coalition that was growing stronger every day. The transformation had not been easy. The war with the Galaxy Council had cost thousands of lives. Many planets had been damaged. Millions of people had been forced to leave their homes. But the result was a galaxy where species could choose their own futures, instead of having decisions made for them by distant bureaucrats. Jonathan, said Michelle, looking up from her tablet, we just received a message from Earth. President Martinez wants to know if you will accept the position of Supreme Commander of Coalition Forces. Jonathan considered this. The title would make him the most powerful human in history, possibly the most powerful being in the galaxy. It was a heavy responsibility. Tell the President I will accept, but only if the Coalition Council agrees. This is not about human power. This is about all of us working together. As the day ended, Jonathan walked through different sections of the station. In one area, human engineers worked with alien scientists to design better ships. In another, diplomats from 20 different species negotiated trade agreements. In the recreation areas, children from dozens of worlds played together, learning each other's languages and customs. This was what the Galaxy Council had claimed they wanted, a peaceful, cooperative galactic civilization. But they had tried to achieve it through control and fear. Humans had achieved it through strength and respect. The communication system chimed, and a message appeared on the main screen. It was from Captain Lisa Rodriguez, leading an exploration fleet in the outer regions of the galaxy. Admiral Hayes, this is Captain Rodriguez reporting from the Perseus Arm. We have made contact with a previously unknown civilization, they call themselves the Helix Confederation, and they are very interested in joining our coalition. Jonathan smiled. The galaxy was full of species that had never been part of the old council system. Many of them had been ignored or excluded by the previous government. Now they had a chance to be part of something better. Send them our standard first contact package, Jonathan replied. Let them know they are welcome to apply for membership if they meet our basic requirements. As he ended the communication, Jonathan reflected on the journey that had brought humanity to this point. The Galaxy Council had intended exile as a punishment, as a way to contain and eventually destroy human ambition. Instead, they had freed humanity from the limitations of alien expectations and bureaucratic control. The humans had been forced to choose between submission and supremacy. They had chosen supremacy not because they wanted to rule others, but because they refused to be ruled by others. In the process, they had created something better than what came before. The stars outside the station seemed to shine brighter, as if acknowledging their new guardians. The galaxy had a new order, led by those who had refused to bow, who had chosen to fight, and who had turned exile into triumph. Humanity's age of greatness was not just beginning. It was inevitable.